Chapter 17. Dugway. Saturday, November 14th, 1981. It was impossible to tell the time from inside of Agent Rylos's ship since there were no windows or clocks, but Velya's circadian rhythm was saying she'd been awake for longer than any other point in her life. It hurt to breathe, similar to when she'd had walking pneumonia the year before, and her lungs felt like they'd filled with concrete. Her face was throbbing, and the rest of her body ached, a residual effect from the struggle with Roger. Even tiny movements were draining the life force from her. "Let's patch you up before we arrive," Agent Rylos instructed. It took every ounce of her energy to stand and walk across the small ship to his side. He held out his right hand like one of the televangelist healers she'd seen when flipping through channels on Sunday mornings. A red beam of light emanated from his ring, moving in tandem with his rising and falling hand. The pressure behind her nose vanished. It reminded her of turning over in bed when she was sick to momentarily relieve her congestion. But in this instance, the pressure didn't return. She moved close to one of the metallic surfaces to inspect her reflection. The crusted blood had disappeared, and her nose looked normal again. Her hair, however, was still a hodgepodge of awful. "I can fix that too if you want," Agent Rylos offered. Velya perked up as much as she could. "You can?" "Yes. But if you want my advice, keep it like that, as a reminder of what it took for you to get this far. Wear it like a badge of honor until it grows back on its own." Differing desires clashed in an epic struggle inside her. "What is that thing?" Agent Rylos looked down and spun the Vantablack ring on his finger. "It's called a helix. It monitors my biometrics and shares that data with C3 back home." "Is that an acronym?" "Yes." "For what?" Velya's eyebrows raised. "The Confederation Central Control." Velya had a million questions, but before she could launch into the first, a section of the wall dissolved, revealing snow-covered mountains surrounding a pure white frosted expanse of open plains. "We're here," Agent Rylos said. "Where's here?" "Dugway Proving Grounds, in the western desert of Utah." Velya used all her energy to move toward the missing wall. This was her mother's old stomping ground, back when she still had both of her legs. "I was here once. Not this specific spot, but Utah, I mean." "When?" Agent Rylos probed. "The fall of 1974. We came to visit my grandmother before she died. My mom took me into one of the canyons to visit a cave. I can't remember the name of it, but it was hard to pronounce. I know it was part of a national park." "Sounds like a memorable trip." "I met Ted Bundy that day." Agent Rylos's eyes widened. "How do you know it was him?" "I don't, not for sure, but I remember his face. He sat down on a bench outside the visitor center to talk to me. He had a killer's eyes and his smile made me nervous. Then my mom called for me and we left. I saw him on the news the next year when he was arrested. I told my mom, but she didn't believe me. She said my mind made the whole thing up. But I'm certain of what I saw. That's the only memory I have of this place. Until now." Agent Rylos placed a hand on Velya's shoulder. It was the first gentle touch she'd felt in days, and it sent a tsunami of goosebumps racing across her back and down her arms. The craft hovered over a sprawling complex of red brick buildings protected by miles of high fences. "What's a proving ground?" "It's a place for testing theories and products to make sure they're viable. Most of the advanced technology we share with your government is housed here. Many of the brightest minds humanity has produced live and work within this compound." "Doesn't look like much." "The really impressive stuff is underground," Agent Rylos replied as the ship descended into a dim vertical shaft. Red crisscrossing beams raced by until they entered a massive cavern. There was no beginning or end to the expansive space. It seemed to stretch forever into the darkness of its edges. Thousands of silver starships were aligned across the glowing red floor. "Welcome to Ice Station Zebra." Velya narrowed her eyes. "Why did they call it that?" "Sorry, that was before your time." Once the craft landed, a set of stairs materialized. Agent Rylos led the way past hundreds of ships to a set of silver doors leading into a blindingly bright hallway. More silver doors appeared every few feet as the pair made their way down the long hall, stopping in front of an unmarked portal. Velya's energy was failing. "What are we doing?" I know you're tired, and I promise you're close to the most rejuvenating sleep of your life, but first, we have to get you prepped for travel. The door disappeared in a similar fashion as Agent Rylos' craft. Just head inside. The rest will happen automatically. The idea of leaving his side in this unfamiliar labyrinth was unnerving, and Velya didn't move. Where will you be? Waiting right here. It'll only take a moment. Velya entered the well-lit but incredibly cramped chamber. It wasn't much wider than the lockers at school, though it was considerably taller. By the time she turned around, the solid door had reappeared. She was alone. The light was replaced with an intense red glow that dissolved her clothes, as if they were made of sand. Warm steam rose from the floor, cleansing her whole body before the light intensified again to dry her. She recoiled as a black material was painted onto her, leaving only her hands, face, and feet exposed. She inspected the suit. It was made of tiny honeycombs that felt like they were floating on top of her skin. The material stretched effortlessly to conform to her body. The door dissolved, and Agent Rylos indicated with one finger to follow him. They walked through the rest of the hallway to another monstrous subterranean space, where a single craft awaited. It was made of the same silvery material as the others, but was a different shape. It looked like a comically long cigar, Velya thought, climbing another set of stairs. Inside was an object resembling a golden sarcophagus. This looked like something from the Curse of King Tut's tomb she'd watched with Janice. Ready? For what? Velya shifted her focus between Agent Rylos and the golden tomb. Stasis. She looked down at the suit. Is that what I'm wearing? No, that's your shroud. It's a protective layer you'll wear for a very long time. It produces a personal force field called an aura around your body. Stasis is different. You have a long journey ahead of you. It's more than 8.5 light years from Earth to Cryptea. You'll be asleep for the entire trip. But it won't be lost time. During stasis, we will mentally condition you so you're prepared for training when you arrive. Will my hair grow back during the trip? Not by much. Under normal conditions, you might grow a few inches every year. But in stasis, the extraneous development of skin, nails, and hair is slowed to ensure the stuff that matters most, like your muscles and brain, doesn't atrophy. Velya's mind was fighting the prospect of being put under. I have a graduation present for you, Agent Rylos said, revealing another helix. Courtesy of C3. Now it's official. Velya gently plucked it from his palm. Always wear it on the middle finger of your right hand. Velya slid the helix on as instructed, and a red light started to phase from beneath the band. Agent Rylos nodded toward the sarcophagus. She stared at it for a moment, then swallowed hard and climbed in, laying down inside the golden curves of the enclosure. When you wake up, Agent Rylos explained, it'll be 2007 here. But you'll have only aged a few years, thanks to stasis. You'll have just under 5 years to train for your mission before returning to Earth. The next time you'll see this planet, it'll be the 31st of December, 2020. Good luck. I'll see you on Cryptea. Wait! Velya started to protest, but Agent Rylos waved and activated the stasis chamber, pushing her into hibernation. 3 words continually echoed off the walls of the sarcophagus as it filled with a viscous gel before the lid closed. The agent left the ship, and Velya, unconscious but subconsciously alert, started the conditioning for her new life as the cloaked starcraft departed from Dugway.